ignore this. I framed it finally and it's going up on the wall tomorrow. I just couldn't get it done today. Welcome to another episode of G's Impulse Projects, a series where I think of an idea that just randomly pops to mind, and if it sticks in my brain for long enough, I will make it. That's the intro I keep meaning to say for every Impulse video, but I never end up saying it. Here we go. Finally, I remembered to say it. I'm not going to beat about the bush of this idea. I've been talking about it for months, and it has had a chokehold on me for months, so I'm not going to waste your time with a big long intro. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and then we're going to go straight into it. I need to quickly Google it. Right, sorry, I had to quickly Google the name because I've been naming this wrong. I'm going to make a Snuddie, or a Snuddie. Some people call them Oodies. Basically, I saw a gamer on Instagram by the name of this person, whose name I can't pronounce, I'm really sorry. They had a Hello Kitty Snuddie, and I was infatuated with this because I was thinking, wow, it's like a, not a dressing gown, but it's like a blanket that you can wear. It's so oversized. It looks so cuddly, and I really want one because most of the time, on the evenings when I'm editing, or if I'm just watching anime or something, I will wear my jumper, and you know what jumper I mean because I wear it all the goddamn time. And don't get me wrong, I have loved that jumper. I practically live in it, but it's not warm enough. So I thought about making a Snuddie, but a Sonic Snuddie, of course, because what else do you expect from me at this point? But I thought of a great idea to make the Snuddie out of these fleece blankets. If you live in the UK, you will know what these are. These are the ASDA fleece blankets that you can currently buy in any ASDA store right now. I didn't think they were in store. I thought you could only buy them online because my local ASDA doesn't stock these. Even when these were hot garbage and everybody wanted one, I did not see a single blanket on the shelf when these first came out. I ordered 2 more online, and I already owned 2 of my own, and I ordered 2 more. You're probably thinking, why do you need 4 of them? Well, according to my calculations, I need 4 blankets to make a Snuddie. 1 blanket will be the front bodice, 1 blanket will be the back bodice, and then I need 1 blanket to fold over to make 2 sleeves, and then I need another blanket to make a hoodie and a pocket. That's according to my calculations. If that is not enough, I will cry. I thought it would be a great idea to make the Snuddie out of these blankets because I love the design, I love the colour, and they are so soft, and it would be pretty perfect. I have 2 of them in the G shed already, ready to go, and I bought these recently. So I do have 4 of them, just not on me. And I bought today some teddy bear fabric. Originally, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I struggled trying to find some Sherpa fabric, which Sherpa fabric, if you don't know, is like a fake sheep's wool. It's used for linings of coats and jackets, and originally I wanted a pale blue Sherpa, but my god, that was so expensive. I shopped around for days looking for some Sherpa that was relatively cheap. It was all £8.50 a metre, and all I needed was 2 metres, and I didn't want to spend 20 quid on 2 metres. So I struggled for a bit. I went into my fabric store today to get something else, but they had a massive roll of teddy bear fabric. This is used for plushes and stuff like that, and I saw it and I was like, that is perfect. So I got 2 meters for a tenner. It's just perfect, really. I mean, look at it. It's blue. It's fluffy. It's soft. If I put it against this, look at the colors. They match so well. I should also mention as well that I thought by me thinking of this idea and thinking to myself, oh my god, a Sonic Snuddie. Nobody's done this before. I'm gonna be the first. Until when I went to get the blankets, ASDA had beaten me to it. I saw this, right? I saw this and I immediately thought, shit, I'm not going to be the first. Not that that's a problem. It was just a bit annoying that I was so fixated on this idea only to see that ASDA had pretty much done exactly that. So I put a poll on my story on my Sonic account and I said, hey, should I still make this or should I just buy the ASDA one? Like, should I just give up and buy it? Overwhelming amount of you wanted to see me make it, so thank you for saying yes, because that's the answer I wanted. Once I've made this, I will shut up talking about it and you can go about your day. I have to do this. It's had a chokehold on me for months. And if I don't get this out of my system, I will go crazy. Next time you see me, I will be in the G-Shed. I'm gonna start this tomorrow, according to my diary. So I'll see you in the G-Shed. So I rewatched Yona of the Dawn. I'm going to be cosplaying Hack from that anime with Anna as Yona for Cos Expo. I binged watched season 1 again because last time I watched it was like a few years ago as a refresher. And oh my god! I forgot how much I love that anime. The second opening has been in my head. I obviously can't speak the language that they're speaking, so I can't sing along, but I found the full version on YouTube and I downloaded the song and it lives rent-free in my head as of right now. I've actually been working on my Hack cosplay on like the side of everything else that I'm working on. Cos Expo is at the beginning of April. I know I have like another month to go, but in my brain I'm thinking to myself, oh, con crunch. But I know in my mind that I have another month to go. But I like to be prepared. So I finished this yesterday and I absolutely adore how it turned out. I'm waiting for some more fabric for his jacket because I was a meter short. Once that comes, I can finish the rest of him, but that's his kimono done, and I just love how it turned out. I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like and give you a sneak peek of the cosplay.
Let's actually start this project. I laid out the first blanket onto the table because I watched a tutorial beforehand. The video I watched said that the Snuddie should be 40 inches wide and 38 inches long, or might have been the other way around, but those were the measurements. Before I did anything, I had to see how big the blanket actually was when it was all laid out in front of me. Turns out that I had plenty of the blanket to go around, so even if I made a few mistakes, I could compensate for that. To make things simpler for myself, I wanted the bodice of the Snuddie to be in a rectangle. So I went so far as to stretch it across myself, and it was the same length as my arm span, which was a good thing because this solidified that this would cover me. My plan was I was going to cut out the neckline and the armholes from the blanket. Remember how I said that I had 4 blankets to use? Well, 2 of them was going to be for the bodice. In normal circumstances with fabric, if it's one continuous roll, normally I would use just one piece of fabric and fold it over to make the bodices. However, I couldn't do that with the blankets because they were certain sizes and not in a continuous roll. So what I did instead was I got both blankets, like the 2 blankets, and I laid them on top of each other and pinned all their corners together. The reason why I pinned the corners was because I didn't notice until I started doing this that the blankets were very slippy and that they kept slipping off each other and going all over the place. So I wanted to make absolute sure that they would not move. I then used my white Parsker pen to map out the neckline and the armholes. There was no real strategy or thought to how I did this. It was basically me eyeballing it. Between where I'm drawing, there are pins. So I pinned the shoulder pieces together, but I left a gap in the middle where my head would go through. I drew the neckline on, and then to measure how that would fit me, I then picked up the blanket, and then I would put my head through the hole that I made with the pins just to make sure I could get my head through. And if I couldn't, I would move the pins a bit further out, and if I wanted it a bit more fitted, like the neckline, I would move the pins further in. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head, but it was one of those times where it shouldn't have worked, but it did. Even though part of me was paranoid as hell that I would screw this up, I got some of my most reliable pattern pieces out that I've used loads of times in the past, and I used those as references just to make sure that I was not going to mess this up. Everything was going well. I was feeling pretty confident in this until it got to the point where I had to cut the blanket, and that's when I started to procrastinate.
I feel like I'm sacrificing something. Like, part of me doesn't want to cut this blanket. This is one of those times where I start to doubt myself and I don't believe that I can do it. And I know what y'all are gonna say. They're gonna be like, oh my god, G, no, you're amazing, you're talented. Stop. As much as I appreciate that, let me wallow in my self-pity. Part of me is thinking, is this gonna work? What if I fuck it up? What if I ruin these blankets? Am I procrastinating? Probably. But I feel bad cutting these up. As much as I want a Sonic Snuddie, I feel awful cutting these up, and I feel like a lot of Sonic collectors are gonna scream at me and burn me at the stake. If you're one of those Sonic collectors watching me right now from my Sonic account, I'm sorry, but it's for the greater good. Stop procrastinating, come on. Stop it. Stop procrastinating and just cut it. Just cut it. Gee, you can do it.
After some continuous reassurance and some hyping up, I did it. But not without mourning its death.
Oh, there's no going back. No! My baby! I feel awful!
After crying about it, I then cut the armholes and the neckline in the back bodice piece as well. At the same time, I made a small adjustment to the back and front bodices. Even though that I want the Snuddie to be baggy on me, at the time this was way too big for me, so I decided to size it down a bit.
I wasn't expecting to feel emotional over cutting this. I've got the front and back pieces here. And I'm just kind of trying them on to see how long and baggy it is, and it's perfect. I've got my armholes, got my neckline. Doesn't matter about how big this is because it's supposed to be baggy. I have made a great sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen and others, and I don't feel better about it. To my right, there's like all the scrap pieces, and I look at it and think to myself, God, that was once a blanket, and I massacred it. I mean, let me show you, hang on. Look at these pieces! They were a blanket! I must say, I was not expecting this to molt. If anything, I was expecting it to not do that. But oh my goodness, this blanket molts like a bitch. I'm literally, I don't know if you can see in the mirror, look at my shoulder. I'm literally covered in it. Covered in the blanket. I'm gonna put these scraps in the bin before I feel terrible about what I've done. And now that I've got the basic pieces of the bodice, I'm now going to do the same thing to the teddy bear fabric.
I only had 2 meters of the teddy bear fabric, so this was the part where I started to use my big brain to figure out how to use this strategically. I took both ends of the fabric and folded them inwards so that I could lay out front bodice and the back bodice on either side. Doing it this way meant that I had plenty of room for 2 sleeves, a pocket and a hood. I mean, that's how it was supposed to work, but I was an idiot and didn't do that.
Update! Is a fucked up, which I knew I would fuck up at some point, just didn't know on what on. I made the sleeves too small. So I cut out some sleeves in the blanket and in the lining, and then realised they were too small for the bodice. So I cut out another pair of sleeves again in this fabric, but I don't have enough lining to make another pair of sleeves, which is completely my fault. It's what I get for not making mock-ups. Because the problem is, 2 meters would have been enough for, like, to cover everything if I hadn't made the sleeves too small. So I've just messaged my local fabric shop and said, hey, emergency, do you have any more, like, of the teddy bear stuff? Because if they don't, I'm absolutely fucked. Although it wasn't that long ago that I went there to, like, get some, so I'm sure there's some there. It's just my paranoia is thinking to myself, oh my god, what do I do if there isn't? All I need is like not even a meter. Sorry, my dad. Not even a meter. All I need is just a square to make another sleeve, and that is it. That's all I need. That's the annoying thing. So I've messaged them, and I imagine they won't get back to me until later today. When they get back to me, probably go tomorrow morning when they open, just so that, you know, I can get it and go. So yeah, that's the update. I'm just sewing on one of the sleeves. Then after I've done this, I can't do any more because I've run out of teddy bear fleece. So I shall see you guys if I go to the fabric shop or not. We'll figure it out together.
15 minutes later.
I rang them instead of waiting for their reply on Facebook, asked if they still have the roll, and they said yes, they've got loads of it. So we're going now. I'm going to get it now. I need to get dressed, and then I'm gonna pop in and get, I don't know, let's get a meter. Let's just get a meter. Yeah, let's get a meter and be done with it, because I'm not gonna wait until tomorrow. I'm going to the fabric shop now. It's an emergency. We're back. We got it. I got a meter. I was in the car and I was driving to town and I thought to myself, oh, should I get a meter and a half just to be safe? Then I thought to myself again, I was like, gee, it's for one sleeve. You don't need a meter and a half for a sleeve. Let's get this done. The plan is before the day ends, I want to have at least the bodice pieces together, you know, in both the lining and the fabric. And that's why I needed one more sleeve.
It was time to open up the fourth blanket, and thank God I had 4 blankets, because with me making my mistake, I was able to make a new pair of sleeves, and with the smaller sleeves that I made, I was going to use those as scrap for pockets. It wasn't entirely wasted. I tried to keep it as minimal to waste as I could with these blankets, trying to get as much as I could out of them. With these new sleeves, I completely eyeballed them by laying out 2 sheets of paper and then using my finger to feel over the top of the paper to where the edges of the fabric was, so I could just draw around the sleeve opening and then hope for the best. The curved shape at the top of the sleeve is the shoulder seam, and the mistake I made before was that this was too small. The sleeve itself was absolutely fine, but it was the shoulder seam that was too small, and so I couldn't connect both of the ends to the armhole. For my second attempt, I made the shoulder seam wider. With a normal sleeve pattern, the sleeve will get smaller when it gets close to the wrist. But I didn't do that. I made my sleeve a rectangle. You can see here with the red lines that this is the shape of the sleeve that I cut out, making sure that I cut as close to the edges of the blanket just so I didn't waste any of it. And then once I finally had all the sleeves that I needed, I connected both sleeves to the main fabric and to the lining.
I took a lunch break. I needed to step away from this project because it was driving me a little bit mental because of the amount of fabric that is everywhere and like the bits of it that's coming off it. If you look on my floor, you can see there's just lots of like blue stuff, and that's coming from the teddy bear fabric. And then if you look on my table, it's just bloody everywhere. So that was driving me insane a little bit, so I needed to step away, have some lunch, and now I'm back. What I've got to do is now I've got to put the 2 bodices together, the lining and the main fabric, and I'm going to try, keyword, try to add some side pockets. If I can't do it, then I will just scrap them. We're almost there, lads. We're almost there.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Trying to figure out how to put the side pockets in. What I do to the main fabric, I have to do to the lining, and I can't figure it out. My brain is just mush, and so therefore, I'm not going to bother. I'm just gonna get this done, honestly. Like, if I want side pockets, I suppose I can add them in at a later date. But for now, I just want this finished. I want to get it done today, and I can't afford like messing around trying to figure out where the pockets go and how to like line up the outer pocket with the lining. There is a way, I know there's a way, I just can't think right now. So therefore, I'm just not gonna bother. I'm probably gonna get someone in the comments going like, oh, this is how you do it. Then I deserve it. I'm just gonna put the lining inside the main bodice, and then we're gonna sew them together.
Well, before I put the two bodices together, I need to actually construct them first. Can you imagine if I generally forgot to do this step? I mean, it's kind of impossible to forget to do this, but not something that I wouldn't do. When you have a sieve brain like mine, you forget to do the most simplest things. Trust me.
Guess who figured out how to do side pockets after she had sewn everything together? That's right, I'm a dumbass, but we'll get to that in the conclusion. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do lining, because basically what I've done is I've sandwiched the seams like in. I've basically got both sides of the main fabric and the lining and folded them inwards and sewn them, so sandwiching them together. This closes the raw edges and it doesn't fray. There is a bit of excess here, but that doesn't matter because it's going inside the sleeve, and honestly, this is just for home. It's not like I'm cosplaying or competing with this on. It doesn't matter how many like mistakes it has. I've just pinned this sleeve, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do the raw edges at the bottom, wherever the bottom is. There you go, there's the bottom. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll do the neckline, and then we'll put the hood on. I am determined to get this done today, because that's all I need to do, and then we're done. I'm just sewing the neckline as it is, like just the two raw edges together. I'm not sandwiching them or anything, because once I put the hood on, I can then sort out the raw edges then, because the hood also has raw edges that I haven't sandwiched together either. So I thought like sandwiching them both at the same time when I connect them together, rather than, you know, doing them individually then connecting them together. I'm going to hand sew the hood on. There are two reasons for it. One, I don't quite trust my machine. My machine can probably do more than I think it can, but in the past when I've sewn hoodies using fleece and I've got to the hood part where I'm connecting it all together, you have like 4 layers of fleece all sandwiched together, and I have broken so many needles trying to sew on hoods in the past, and I don't have many needles left. Also, I feel like I'm gonna have a bit more self-control over that, because with hand sewing I can neaten up the raw edges around the neckline and the hood. As I said, they're not like sandwiched as of right now. Getting my needle and just like continuously like looping it around so it neatens up the stitch and hides all the raw edges and the fraying. I think that's gonna look a bit more better than me trying to sweat under the sewing machine. Honestly though, I am sweating. It is hard work. I know I'm only sat here like doing this, but because of how weighty both fleeces are, like the teddy bear fabric and the blanket, it makes it really like heavy. So I'm like lugging that through the foot of the machine, and the poor machine is like, what are you putting me through? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you're doing a great job, machine. Anywho, I'm gonna get this done. I've almost finished the neckline now, and I'm going to call it a day, and then when I go back inside the house in my bedroom, I'm gonna just hand sew the hood closed and probably watch Lucifer on Netflix. I'm on episode 10 of season 3. I'm obsessed.
with that show. I'm halfway through it, so I have like 3 more seasons to go because there's 6 seasons. That will be a good thing to catch up on whilst I'm hand sewing. And so I spent the evening hand sewing the hood on. It surprisingly didn't take as long as I thought it would. I was half expecting to pull an all-nighter just to get this done, but as I said, didn't take that long. Unlike some projects, yes, I'm looking at you, Werehog Hoodie, this took roughly about 25 minutes to half an hour. Once it was done, the serotonin it gave me was immaculate. And with that being said, it is time to show this baby off. Onto the reveal.
It's wrap-up time. Hello. If you've got this far in the video, thank you for being on this journey with me. It's been quite a roller coaster. I'm not going to be hard on myself this time. I think I did pretty good. However, I do have like 1 or 2 nitpicks with it that I could have improved on, but nothing major. I'll talk about what I didn't like first, and then I'll talk about what I do like about it. I made the pocket a bit too low. It was never intended to be at the knees, it was intended to be a bit further up. And so I underestimated just how low I had put it. Once I had put it there and I'd sewn it all together and stuff, I looked at it and went, oh, shit. And then I just thought to myself, oh well, gonna have to stay there now, I'm not unpicking it. It's still functional as a pocket. When I'm sat down, I can put my hands in it like this. When I'm standing up, I have to bend down to get to the pocket, or I just like lift up part of the Snuddie to like lift the pocket up. It is functional, it's just a bit lower than I'd like it. The second thing is the blankets themselves. They have no grip to them. The teddy bear fleece had grip on the wrong side of its fabric, whereas the blankets didn't have anything. When I was sewing them together, it was a challenge to get them to stay straight and to stay together. So under the sewing foot, I would have the 2 blankets like this. The layer underneath would always go this direction. And so every time I lifted the first layer to check on the second layer would be pretty non-existent, and I'd be like, excuse me, where are you going? I had to literally pinch my finger and thumb to get it through the sewing foot. So it was like really challenging to get them to stay put and to stay in a straight line. Something as simple as going straight wasn't simple at all. That brings me on to my third point, which was a complete error in my judgment. 2 meters of the teddy bear fleece would have been enough if I hadn't fucked up on the sleeves the first time round. That's why I had to go and make like an emergency trip to the fabric shop that afternoon. And Another point is, remember how I struggled to figure out how to put side pockets in? It wasn't the fact that I didn't know how to put them in, it was the fact that I got confused and I overthought it. Didn't understand how I could put pockets, like side pockets in with lining. That was what I was confused about. I felt like that wasn't translated in what I was trying to tell you guys. Like, I was trying to tell you, you know, I can do pockets, but I don't know how to do pockets with lining. However, I did figure it out just after I had sewn everything together. If I had walked away from the project, logically thought about it, even got my dad's help maybe, then I could have come back and put side pockets in. But I didn't, I overthought it, and in the end I just gave up. I was really frustrated with the fact that I just couldn't figure it out. I have done it before, but I don't do it often enough. And I really should. I really should put pockets in literally everything. Having said that, it doesn't matter because I do have a big front pocket, so in the grand scheme of things, I haven't lost anything. It just meant that I was going to add 2 extra pockets. I'm sorry to myself for not thinking it through properly. Onto the things that I do like though. I love how soft and cuddly it is. Like with the teddy bear fleece and these blankets, it's a very good combination. Every time I put this on, I feel like I'm wrapped in a cloud and it is the most softest thing. I seriously could sleep in this. The hood is very baggy. I like how this is. I would never wear the hood, mind you. It's just there for decoration, but I love that it's so oversized to the point that when I sit down, I can literally tuck my feet and my knees in and I'm just like one big ball of fluff. I'm walking in a blanket, but I'm wearing the blanket. That's what it feels like. And that was the whole inspiration behind the Snuddie, was the fact that these fleece blankets are really soft anyway. How cool would it be if you could literally wear it? I also feel like that every hoodie or project that has pockets, I have an energy drink. And I have to prove that my pockets are big enough to fit an energy drink in them. That has now become a trend. And Monster should sponsor me. I doubt they will, but if Monster is watching this right now, please sponsor this caffeine-dependent cosplayer. If I had to compare, I really love how this turned out more than the Werehog hoodie. Not that the Werehog hoodie is bad, I love my Werehog hoodie, but my Werehog hoodie is not practical, whereas this is. As usual, I'm gonna get editing all of this and then I'll try and get this video uploaded as and when I can. I'm hoping that this video is like less than 20 minutes. I'm speaking to Post-Edit G right now being like, is it 20 minutes? Please confirm from the future. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're new or old to this channel, I appreciate you being here. If you're new, thank you for joining me. And if you want to subscribe, that's great. If you don't, then it's absolutely chill. You don't have to if you don't want to. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Ah, that's nice.